Fellow Kenyans, after wider consultations and introspection with youths across the country, we are proud to announce the formation of a youth-led cabinet under the Wazalendo Movement Africa. As the conveners, a bold and transformative step towards empowering young Kenyans to lead with purpose, vision, and accountability. Here are the names as I read for you, the appointed cabinet Baraza la Waziri Vijana Wazalendo. Hanifa Farsafi, Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning. Shakira Wafula, Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. Michael Mwangi, Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock Development. Nganga Muigai, Cabinet Secretary for Sports, Creative Economy and Youth Affairs. Timothy Njuguna Njugush, Cabinet Secretary for Information, Communication and Digital Economy. Mark Ouko, Cabinet Secretary for Public Service and Human Capital. Polo Kimani, Cabinet Secretary for Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs. Kasmuel Makoure, Cabinet Secretary for Energy and Petroleum. Shalin Wamboi, Cabinet Secretary for Land, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development. Morara Kebaso, Cabinet Secretary for Cooperatives and MSMEs Development. Jennifer Wairimu Waridi, Cabinet Secretary for Gender. Adrian Oluoch, Cabinet Secretary for Education. Mbiti Mondi, Cabinet Secretary for Health. Neema Nimo Sheikh, Cabinet Secretary for Diaspora Affairs and Foreign Affairs. Diana Rotich, Secretary to the Cabinet. Joshua Okayo, Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration. Mohamed Shete, Cabinet Secretary for Water, Irrigation and Sanitation. Advice Mundalo, Cabinet Secretary for Investments, Trade and Industries. Brian Korir, Cabinet Secretary for Labor and Social Protection. Mbide Mulinge, Cabinet Secretary for East African Community and Regional Affairs. Sophie Njeia Mugure, Cabinet Secretary for Defense. Mohamed Abdullahi, the Attorney General to the Cabinet. Viola Marvin Dalmas, Cabinet Secretary for Tourism and Wildlife. Fellow Kenyans, members of the media, and especially the youth of this great nation. Today marks a historic moment in the journey of Kenya's youth towards meaningful leadership, inclusion, and nation building. It is with great humility and unwavering patriotism that I stand before you today not to sow seeds of division, but to ignite a fire of unity, a purpose, and national pride in every heartbeat, in every heart that beats for this country. We gather at a critical moment in our history, a time when our nation is crying out for leadership that listens, for action that uplifts, one for values that bind us together as one people under one flag. In these trying times, when many feel unheard, unseen, and left behind, we say this: you matter. Your voice matters, your dreams are valid, and your role in building Kenya is irreplaceable. Let us rise not in anger but in action. Let us unite not just in words but in deeds. Let us own our country, not just with flags and anthems, but with honest work, bold ideas, and unwavering service to one another. The future of Kenya will not be written by a few corridors of power. It will be shaped by millions of us in classrooms, in farms, in offices, in our homes, and on the streets, who choose to believe in possibility over pessimism, in community over division, and in dignity over despair. Today, we speak especially to the young people of Kenya, those whose energy fuels our economy, whose creativity shapes our culture, and whose courage can lead this country to unprecedented heights. You are not the leaders of tomorrow. You are the leaders of today. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a resource to be empowered. The future of Kenya rests not in the hands of a few, but in the resolve of many of us. The values that once stitched the fabric of our nation, that is purpose, loyalty, integrity, and patriotism, must be revived, not just in the words, but in deeds. Our founding fathers may no longer walk among us, but their legacy must continue through our actions. It is time for us to reclaim that spirit of unity and national building. Fellow Kenyans, our nation has endured trials that have tested the very fabric of our resilience, that is floods, that have devastated communities, hunger that gnaws at the vulnerable, economic hardships that strain families, and the heavy burden of unemployment that weighs most heavily on our youth. Yet, despite these challenges, we have always emerged stronger, bound by a shared love of this land and an unyielding spirit that refuses to break. From the sacrifices of our undeniable truth stands firm. Kenya moves forward only when we stand together. Recently, the protests led by the courageous youth have brought to light urgent and critical issues that is unemployment, governance failures, and the demand for accountability. These demonstrations, fueled by passion and purpose, underscore the immense power of our collective voice. They remind us that the heartbeat of our nation is found in its young people's call for change. However, while we rightly raise these concerns, we must also pause and reflect on our responsibilities as citizens. Pointing fingers and casting blame alone will not build the Kenya we envision. It is time to transition from activism to leadership, from protest to policy, and from division to meaningful dialogue. We cannot afford the luxury of talking past each other while so many of our brothers and sisters languish in poverty and despair. Instead, we must talk with each other, engaging honestly, listening sincerely, and working collectively, united beneath the banner of our flag, to which we all pledge our allegiance. Our future depends not just on raising our voices, but on channeling that energy into solutions that uplift every Kenyan. It is in our community that it is in our unity and shared purpose that the true strength of Kenya lies. The youth of Kenya are not just the future. You are the heartbeat of this nation today. With 70% of our population under 30 years old, your energy, creativity, and vision are the energies of our progress. Yet we know the challenges you face. 7% of our young people are unemployed, grappling with a rising cost of living and unfulfilled promises. This cabinet, composed of dynamic youthful leaders, will execute the below mandates. 1. Identify and promote opportunities. Each cabinet secretary will work diligently to identify and promote opportunities for the youth within their respective ministries. They will ensure full transparency in how these opportunities are accessed to guarantee fairness and inclusivity. 2, ensure fair access to tenders. We all know 30% of tenders should be given to the young people. That's why this will be a major role, and those will be nominated will be able to advocate for tenders designated for the youth to be awarded to genuine young entrepreneurs, not political proxies. This is key to fostering real economy. 3rd, advocate for generational transition in leadership. We call on government officials aged above 50 years to voluntarily step aside within 1 month, allowing room for qualified, visionary youth to assume leadership roles. If this call is ignored, we will move to enforce public accountability by publishing their names and declaring those positions open for young applicants through a transparent, merit-based process. 4, support innovation and creativity. We will actively spotlight and amplify the innovations of university and college students, ensuring their ideas do not end in laboratories and classrooms, but receive the investment and support each other needs. 5, coordinate grassroots efforts nationwide. A nationwide network will be established to identify and respond to youth-specific issues at the grassroots level. Every county, every region, and every community will have its voice heard and needs addressed. 6, engage directly with the presidency. We will seek monthly engagements with the President William Samoei Ruto to brief him on our findings, challenges, and proposals, establishing a constructive partnership that keeps youth inclusion at the core of our national policy and governance. Promote patriotism and national values. We will champion the values of integrity, loyalty, justice, and respect for human rights, promoting a spirit of patriotism that transcends tribe, class, or political affiliations. This is the Kenya our generation believes in, and the Kenya we are ready to build. 8, address abductions and demand justice for victims of police brutality. We will vigorously condemn and expose the abduction of intimidation of peaceful protesters. We will demand thorough investigation and full compensation for the victims of police brutality, while holding accountable those who violate the rights of citizens. No democracy can thrive under fear, and no youth should suffer for speaking truth to power with decorum. Fellow Kenyans, after wider consultations and introspection with youths across the country, we are proud to announce the formation of a youth-led cabinet under the Wazalendo Movement Africa. As the conveners, a bold and transformative step towards empowering young Kenyans to lead with purpose, vision, and accountability. Here are the names as I read for you the appointed cabinet baraza la waziri vijana wazalendo. Anifa Farsafi, Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning. Shakira Wafula, Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. Michael Mwangi, Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock Development. Nganga Muigai, Cabinet Secretary for Sports, Creative Economy and Youth Affairs. Timothy Njuguna Njugush, Cabinet Secretary for Information, Communication and Digital Economy. Mark Ouko, Cabinet Secretary for Public Service and Human Capital. Polo Kimani, Cabinet Secretary for Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs. Kasmuel Makoure, Cabinet Secretary for Energy and Petroleum. Shalin Wamboi, Cabinet Secretary for Land, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development. Morara Kebaso, Cabinet Secretary for Cooperatives and MSMEs Development. Jennifer Wairimu Waridi, Cabinet Secretary for Gender. Adrian Oluoch, Cabinet Secretary for Education. Mbiti Mondi, Cabinet Secretary for Health. Neema Nimo Sheikh, Cabinet Secretary for Diaspora Affairs and Foreign Affairs. Diana Rotich, Secretary to the Cabinet. Joshua Okayo, Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration. Mohamed Shete, Cabinet Secretary for Water, Irrigation and Sanitation. Advice Mundalo, Cabinet Secretary for Investments, Trade and Industries. Brian Korir, Cabinet Secretary for Labor and Social Protection. Mbide Mulinge, Cabinet Secretary for East African Community and Regional Affairs. Sophie Njeia Mugure, Cabinet Secretary for Defense. Mohamed Abdullahi, the Attorney General to the Cabinet. Viola Marvin Dalmas, Cabinet Secretary for Tourism and Wildlife. These leaders will receive their letters of appointment and will meet regularly to drive our collective agenda. The Wazalendo Movement Africa will serve as the convener, ensuring accountability and progress. The challenges we face, that is unemployment, corruption and inequality, are not insurmountable. We have survived wars, floods and hunger because we are resilient people. But survival is not enough. We must thrive. This requires us to move beyond blame games and embrace responsibility. President Ruto, like all the leaders, he is not above scrutiny, but is not the sole architect of our challenges. We, the youth, must step up as architects of our solutions. Let us reject the temptation to insult or divide. Instead, let us engage in conversations that build bridges. Let us propose policies, draft bills, and create platforms where every Kenyan, regardless of political affiliation, can contribute to our nation's progress. The government belongs to all of us, and together we can make it work for all of us. To the youth of Kenya, I say, you are not powerless. Your hashtags, your protests, and your voices have already forced change. Last year's finance bill was withdrawn because of your courage. Now let us channel that energy into building a Kenya where every young person has a job, a voice, and a future. Let us honor those we lost in the protest by creating a nation where they will be proud of. To the nation at large, I say unto you, Kenya is at crossroads. We can choose division or we can choose unity. We can choose despair or we can choose hope. I believe in the Kenya that our forefathers dreamed of, a nation of integrity, loyalty, and human rights. To the nation at large, I say unto you, Kenya is at crossroads. We can choose division or we can choose unity. We can choose despair or we can choose hope. I believe in the Kenya that our forefathers dreamed of, a nation of integrity, loyalty, and human rights. I believe in Kenya where every citizen from Nairobi to Kisumu, from Mombasa to Eldoret, from Malava to Lungalunga, from Busia to Lamu, that feels seen, heard, and valued. We urge every Kenyan to join this movement. Let us meet not with tear gas or water cannons, but with ideas and solutions. Let us rally behind Wazalendo Movement Africa to create a common agenda for our youth and our nation. Let us pledge to move forward, not backwards, and to build a Kenya that reflects our highest values. Fellow Kenyans, we cannot turn back. We must go forward. Together as one people, under one flag, let us have the courage to talk, to engage, and to act. Kenya, I know we can. Let us make it happen. To the youth of Kenya, your time is now. To the leaders of today, walk with us or make a way. To the future of Kenya, we are ready. Thank you so much and may God bless you.